Well, thank you, Nero. That was fascinating and really kind of closed out our presentations today with a bang. And good evening to all of you. I want to start off by saying, don't worry, you are minutes away from the drinks portion of the agenda today. I'm Leanne Perkins from Sloan 2012, and I stand before you today with quite a bit of joy in my heart from what I've seen and experienced today. From somebody that's been a part of the creation of the Sloan Summit from our very first baby steps to today, I can tell you that we've come a long way. In preparing for today, I had the opportunity to take a trip down memory lane, and that included reviewing hundreds of texts and emails and diary appointments, and most of those were from Jim Schmidt's Sloan 2013. Now, it was really Jim's vision, this idea of a Sloan Summit. He'd spoken about it to me quite a few times, and I know that some of you out there also had conversations with him, but it wasn't until August of 2013 that I received an email from him which started off by saying, I need to give you a heads up. Now, that would have normally put fear in my heart, but he went on to say that he had started the process of proposing a summit to LBS and that it was moving along a little. That was a great understatement, as it turned out to be the start of something quite wonderful. The original concept of a Sloan Summit was based around three ideas. The first was that our individual success and reputation is married to LBS. So anything that we could do to strengthen or further those efforts for LBS would be very important. The second was that we are a powerful fraternity, or sorority if you will, and opportunities existed to leverage these relationships. Jim said, I see a stronger Sloan cohort as an upside for us all. Together, we have the ability to strengthen ourselves, our classmates, the program, and ultimately, the school. My wish is that through these strengths, each of us will be armed with the resources to accomplish whatever it is that we want to. And the third was to offer something so incredibly interesting that it would draw Sloans from across the globe. And we included in that the fact that we had to have fun while doing all of these things. So Jim assembled a team of Sloan 2012s and 13s, and looking back, it was really quite a nice, diverse Belbin team that we had with a coordinator, a shaper, implementer, a plant, and a completer finisher. That was me. After indulging in a bit of fantasy about how big and grand our first summit was going to be, we settled down to reality and decided on having a small but mighty event which would lay the foundation for future Sloan summits. And I can say that I think we have accomplished that. Each event has gotten bigger with a more ambitious agenda and a more global reach. And it's been wonderful to be witness to that. So when I look at the summit progression, and especially at today's event, I have to say we've ticked all of the boxes. Furthering the efforts of LBS, check, and I'd say we've gone beyond that as we've included our sister programs at Stanford and MIT. Leveraging our powerful alliances, absolutely a check there. Not only have we leveraged those alliances to make these summits happen, but I know outside of the summit, I use and rely on my Sloan and LBS network and relationships in a lot of different ways. In fact, I reached out to Jason just a couple of weeks ago with a gnarly business problem that I needed some help with, and he was there for me for that. And I know I've heard stories from all of you that are along the same lines. And continuing to do something bigger than ourselves, that certainly has happened on this day and in subsequent summits. So check there. And having fun, I'll give that one a double check. Sloans have always known how to have a good time. But to sum up how far we've come in our Sloan summits, I wanted to draw on some words from then Dean Andrew Lickerman at our first summit, his closing remarks. I hope Andrew doesn't mind. But he said, from our experiences, we have learned that Sloans feel a deep sense of obligation to help each other in any way possible. The ties between individuals in a class are strong, but the connections between Sloan generations has yet to be fostered in an organized way. This is the first step on that path. And we've now taken 3 additional steps beyond that, and they've been bold and confident ones. So it's only left for me to say a sincere and heartfelt thank you to the Summit Committee this year. I know only too well what kind of hard work and a little bit of your soul goes into making one of these summits possible. And I think this year's team has done a magnificent job. I think you would agree. Right? So with that, just a few more closing remarks, and I will turn it over to Jake Cohen and Arnie Longboy.
So I realize I am just one of 2 more people that's between you and the drink, so I'll try to make this really quick. But I too wanted to thank the organizing committee, especially Jason and Anupam and others that have been really involved in the planning of this. It's a lot of work behind the scenes. You should have seen Jason trying to brief the group that was doing the Amazing Race. And he looked at us as if, you know, why aren't you getting it? But it's the complexity of that and just the whole planning that really, the planning that went into it that made today such a great day. So thank you, Jason and Anupam and all the others involved. Yes. So I am Arnie Longboy, the Executive Director for Leadership Programs, which are all of the executive degree programs here at LBS. Those are the 800 plus students that are involved in the Executive MBA, as well as our beloved Sloan program. But my job is just to really talk about or highlight the fact that we are celebrating 50 years of Sloan at LBS. That first class, you saw the photo out there on the board, was actually of 17 men, 3 nationalities. Fast forward 50 years. Well, anyone from that first class that's here? So if there were a couple that registered, thanks to them, we have now come 50 years forward. Anyone here from the current class of 2018? There are a few of you here as well. I know you also are in the middle of a finance exam, so kudos to you for coming. But 17 men, 3 nationalities in that first one. Today, we have 64 Sloan students representing 23 nationalities and now 22% women. So we've come a long way. What do we expect over the next 50 years? I have no idea. But we do know that things are going to change, as you've heard from the other talks today. More about just because of the business environment changing, but also because every few years LBS does do a comprehensive program review. So just from those reviews, we are always trying to keep it up to date and making sure that the content is relevant and fit for purpose and still working for you. So I'm not sure how that's going to look in the next 50 years, but there is one constant I hope to see over the next 50 years, and that's something to do with the student experience. Last year when I wrote the alumni about the changes we had made in the review, I got this one response from Brian James, and it was simple but yet beautiful in what the experience that he had. And I have to read this. So he said, "We learned a lot about the world, about business, and about ourselves. It was an incredible year." And that was from Brian James, who was in that very first class, one of those 17s. I think all of you who are sitting in this room could probably say, at least at the very basic level, that we learned a lot about the world, about business, and about ourselves, and it was an incredible year. So at the very least, that's what I hope we get to see in the next 50 years. So with that, I'd now like to hand it over to Jake. Thank you.
so I guess I'm really the last person that stands between you and drinks. But let me just say it was a wonderful day. I think you would all agree. We wanted to be successful. It was successful on multiple fronts. And it's really great. I didn't know exactly what to expect. This was my first time, but I thought it was very successful. I thought it was something we want to build on. I think it's important, as Leanne mentioned, that the idea for this, to bring MIT and Stanford, of course, and LBS together, to build on networking for the Sloan brand, to increase it, to really think about how we elevate it, is what we did. And we can do a lot more. So I hope to see you next year. Let me close by inviting you. I know what Nero said, we can convince people what to do by the way you phrase it. That was excellent. So, let me invite you to join us next year in Cambridge, not the real one, but the one in the US. And to build on this, I think, again, it's the power of the networking that we did during the day, the networking that we will do over drinks and dinner. But again, I want to thank the hosts. I want to thank LBS. I want to thank the organizers for doing this. I'm glad to see Mike, my colleague and friend from California. And see you next year. Thank you.
So yeah, even though Jake said you get drinks after that, no, your cup runneth over, now you get me. I won't take that much time, but there are a couple of things we do want to do. First and foremost, we thanked everybody, and yes, Jason, me, and Alice and Faye, and well, I can't see them, they've left. But, there's this banner standing out there, there's a brochure in your things, and there was somebody registering you in the morning, and somebody kept doing things around. Things happened that you didn't see us because you always saw us. The digital marketing team from London Business School, I would like to thank them for all the pain and everything, the board that is out there, things, and for their patience with Jason and me.
With me.
Well, yeah, we'll deal with that one later, But most importantly, can I quickly request Rachel Simpson here on the stage, please? I think this would not have gotten anywhere close. Our alumni relationships coordinator, who has basically done everything behind the scenes for that. Thank you. Thank you. The second item is, there was a race. Anybody has any idea who won? Does anybody care? I like that. At least somebody stood up. I have no idea if you won or not. Well, somebody should care. I've got prizes, so they have to go. I can't take all of them. I actually can only use one of them, the way the prizes are. So, Team 12. Team 12?
Yes.
Ooh! Well, what? I've got a one? You couldn't have one alone.
Yeah, at least you've got one representative.
Oh, okay, good. When we finally leave for drinks, please do step out. And a lot of people didn't realize that, but when we talked about Valeria, it wasn't just a book that she published. It was a book that was actually released at the Oxford Literary Festival this year. That's no mean task. It has to, I have no idea what one has to do. She's a writer, I'm not. But what I mean to say is it's not a mean task. That is a prestigious place to release a book. It's called A Summer in Puglia, sorry. I'm not Italian, as you can see. A Summer in Puglia, and as you go out, if you go out there, Valeria is there with the book. Your prize is Valeria's book, and she's there to autograph it for you. And there's one more item I would like to talk about, and that goes from when Leanne was here, and she was talking about what Jim had said and all the connections and everything. This is actually a second state Sloan Summit that I'm standing at the stage at the close. I would like not to see myself standing on stage on any further Sloan Summit. Not because of any other reason. I've enjoyed both immensely. I'll pay for it tomorrow, but that's all right. I would like to see this community think it is important enough, it's valuable enough for somebody else to step up. This has been a voluntary activity. And I would like it to, I personally think it's lovely that it stays a voluntary activity, doesn't lose its sheen and doesn't become the same every year because it's the same group of people doing it. There's 2018, you can take up the mantle, train 2019 in it, do it, but we are Sloans. Who says we have to follow a convention that it always has to be passing out things? I mean, the whole idea of being a Sloan was we don't like to follow conventions. So there's no reason why Sloan 25, sorry, just because I know you, can step up and say, here's a set of ideas, maybe they don't do it, or Sloan 2001 decides that they would like to do it. Just it's a question of 4 people, 2 people, 3 people with some ideas deciding that they would like to do it. And it would be great because it would be different rather than the same one, because it gets stale very quickly when you have the same kind of things everywhere. So I would really, really love to see somebody come up and say, why don't we do it this way and that way? And I would still like to see 2018 take the lead because you'll be here, 2019 will be here, you can take the lead easily, but ideas can come from everybody, the whole community. We are supposedly some 2,000 of us. Is that the number right? For LBS, sorry. We are supposedly 8,000 of us. My apologies, so I would really like to see, as MIT take forward, think about what we are going to do in 2020 and do that. And also, when MIT takes it forward, we should all be giving ideas and talking about it. So it would be really, really great. Ideas is one thing and everything. And the first part of that idea would be, Rachel will again send one of her emails at some point in the next few days, which will have a survey on it, which will have links for the photographs, thousands of them that Mike seems to have taken. It will have links to the presentations that you have seen today, and potentially some videos that have been recorded. So you will have all that collateral. But that survey is important because that will tell us how we cannot do the bad things we did this time. Well, we won't include Jason anyway, but that's all right. So that survey is important, and it's always going to take you 5 minutes to do it. And I know we all hate doing surveys, and I think Nero has something to say about that also. But so please do that survey. And now I would like to do a last thing, and I would like to call Mike Pierce over, who's the photographer, stand here and see if we can all squish together, because I think the camera may not catch the whole thing, and if we can all take a lasting photograph, lasting memory of it. After that, team 12, please remember to take your prize, and everybody else, go ahead and get drunk. Thank you.